Hi. Let's do it. Let's talk about listing paperwork. Okay, so we are obviously in a video, and now we're going to talk about listing paperwork. And I can already tell by how the intro went that this is going to go really smoothly and well without any issues. All right, so we have a listing appointment. We need to sign that client. What do we have to present them at that appointment to get a client? So we're going to go over the few documents that we're going to need to get signed along with our listing. Okay, so I've already built our transaction using the listing template, which is awesome. And you're going to notice there's a few more documents in here than with the buyer one, right? So there's a few more things to go through. So just like before, we have our agency relationship, we have the KW disclosures, and we have our exclusive right to list. So we're going to go through all of those. And in addition to that, we're going to go through a couple other documents that we need to have alongside that and explain those as well. Okay, so again, we're going to go through how to fill out and how to present, just like I'd be doing a listing consultation. Now remember, I'm printing this out, I'm bringing it to the consultation, we are going over it at the kitchen table, and we're done. I'm going to slide it over and ask for signatures because I can't help you unless I'm representing you. I can't represent you unless I have this signed. So just like before, I always like to preface by saying the first couple things we're going to go over are disclosures. By signing them, you're not agreeing to anything, but I do need to have those signed just to acknowledge that I went over it with you. Sound good? Awesome. So the very first one is that agency relation. Now, a quick aside, if you are doing this as part of like a buy-sell, you only need to go through this once. You don't need to go through this every time. All right. All right. So this agency relationship disclosure just goes over the kind of service that you are owed as a home seller in Minnesota. So right here just kind of outlays that. You'll be working with us in the capacity as a seller's broker. In that relationship, you get all of my fiduciary duties, which are listed right here, loyalty and obedience. I'm going to give you my expertise. I'm going to give you my advice. I'm going to give you some very strong recommendations throughout this experience. But at the end of the day, you're in charge. What you say goes, and I have to listen to you. Right. Also, going to full disclosure, anything that I know, any material fact that I'm made aware of, you are also going to know. I will keep nothing from you. And that front, total confidentiality, anything that you share with me will stay between us. Reasonable care and full accounting of all finances moving through this transaction. Again, there's also a section here that addresses dual agency. Where is that? That is right here. Dual agency refers to a scenario in which the buyer of this property is either represented by me or another agent in my office. In that scenario, we would not be able to negotiate in poor faith towards that buyer, nor would they be able to negotiate in poor faith towards us. In essence, we're working together to find a win-win for both parties in which everyone is happy. You will have the option to opt in and out of dual agency if that feels like a relationship you're not comfortable with. We can address that later. We're going to be brought up again in the listing contract. So we'll address that one more time. Any questions so far? They might have some questions, whatever. Cool, answer them. Awesome. One more thing I need to address here is the role of a facilitator. I will not be working this capacity for you. This is a scenario that outlines, like, say, you already found a buyer, you already got everything negotiated, you're going to sell it to your cousin, and you have the price figured out, and it's all good. You just need someone to put the paperwork together for you, right? That's what a facilitator does. But in this scenario, by agreeing to let me represent you, we'll be working together in this top role here as a seller slash landlord's broker. No questions? Great. I need a signature and date here. Okay. So that's the agency relationship disclosure. And then again, we do the KW disclosures. So I'm going to jump down to that. Where's that at? Right here. Disclosures and waiver of acceptance. All right, this one is, again, a disclosure. By signing this, you're not agreeing to anything. You're simply acknowledging that I presented it to you. Also, just to note, this disclosure addresses both buyers and sellers. So if you see me skip a couple lines, it's just because it doesn't apply to our conversation here today. Break in this little role play, talking to you, the agent. Just so you know, also, if you are doing a buy-sell, you just need this one disclosure. You'll just get every box checked. You won't be skipping anything. All right, back in. All right, so you're just selling your house. You're not looking to buy anything. Great. We're going to go over to the seller lines here. We have the right to purchase a home warranty. We don't need to do that. at this point. So I'm just going to go ahead and say we decline to purchase a home warranty. The buyers may try to get us to purchase one for them. An inspection, we'll cross that bridge when it comes. We also note that the buyers they have the right to have an inspection on the property. Every once in a while, we do see offers submitted that forego inspection. That's great for us, but just know that there's a likely chance that the buyer is going to be holding an inspection. That may open a second round of negotiations once we get an offer accepted. And again, we can cross that bridge when it comes. 3 notes that the buyers will also be doing a final walkthrough before they close on the property. They get an opportunity to go back in the home, make sure it's in the condition they agreed to purchase it in, and we must allow them to do that. All right, down here, number 5, this is multiple offers disclosure. So in the event that more than one buyer puts an offer in on the property, we get to decide right now how we want to handle that. So we have 3 options. One is we inform all potential buyers and their agents that we have multiple offers. In this scenario, we would call what's called for highest and best. So we would just broadcast out, let's say we list on Friday, we get 3 offers Friday night, and we're stoked. We're like, yes, but there are like 10 other showings scheduled for the weekend. So maybe we would want to put out to everyone to say, hey, we have these 3 offers. We're going to be reviewing them Sunday at 8 a.m. If you have an offer in, you have an opportunity to bring in a better offer. Or if you don't have an offer in, you have until this deadline to submit your offer and make it your highest and best offer. So that's a scenario that's like the dream scenario, right? That makes sure we got a bidding war, we get people kind of fighting over each other for the house. That's what we want. Now, option 2 is to inform all the buyers and their agents only if they ask, right? So we wouldn't broadcast this out, but if somebody says, hey, we have someone interested, do you have any offers in hand? I would say, yes, we have 3. And then they would use that information as they will. Option C is we wouldn't tell anyone the existence of offers. So somebody says, hey, do you have any offers? I'd say, I'm not allowed to tell you. So out of those 3, which would you like to do? A, awesome. That makes sense. Why would anyone choose C? I don't know, but good thing it shows A. All right, we're going to keep going through here. Here at Keller Williams, you are hiring me as your realtor. And that is all I am. I'm not a home inspector. I'm not a licensed contractor. I'm not a tax expert. And much to my mother's chagrin, I am not an attorney. If you do need any of those during this transaction, of course, I work with the best in Minnesota. I can connect you with amazing vendors who'll get you anything you need. But as far as my expertise goes, it's going to be in selling this house. All right, you will have to have a seller's disclosure. So again, we're going to have a timeout here just from me to you, the agent. We have some options here, and our seller gets to choose what they want to do. So typically, they're going to sell out the disclosure, the property disclosure form. This is if they've lived in the house and occupied the home, right? They're just going to fill out everything they know. And I always tell people, it's everything you know. You don't need to go digging for answers. If you don't know something, you can just say, I don't know. That's an acceptable answer. But you cannot lie. This is where a lot of the lawsuits come into place with this is lack of disclosure. It's one of the biggest problems in our industry. So you need to be very clear that you cannot lie. All right, the second option for the sellers is to have an inspector come in and do it for them, or they can do a waiver. And a waiver is only if, typically you see this if the seller had not occupied the property, right? Or they want to sell it as is. But if they have not occupied the property, say they inherited it, or it's an investment property, they can do a waiver, which simply states, I've never lived here. I don't know anything. Okay. So I'm going to go back into scene. Whoop. Awesome. So item 7 here, we get to decide how we handle our disclosure. So as selling a property, we are obligated to disclose all material facts we know about the property. Since this is your primary residence, we're likely going to be doing the seller property disclosure statement. I'll be leaving a copy here for you. You can fill it out best to your knowledge. Again, I want to tell you, when we are doing this disclosures, it is everything to your knowledge. Do not feel obligated to investigate, to seek out answers. If you don't know an answer to one of the questions on there, I don't know is an acceptable answer. Okay. Option 2, if we do not want to fill out a disclosure, we could have an inspector come and do a pre-inspection for us, which we would then disclose to the buyers. This would cost us some money. Most people go with A. And then the waiver, this is if you didn't occupy the property, right? If this was a relative's home or an investment property, you don't know anything about it, we could also fill out this waiver. So in your scenario, you'd likely be doing A. Perfect. Boom, boom, boom. And then down here just simply states that there is a $4.99 broker admin fee that is associated with this transaction. This is not paid to me. This goes directly to my brokerage. This is how they make money and they keep the lights on for us. Yeah, so there's that. And again, this isn't a extra check you're going to be writing us or anything. One, this is only paid at successful closing. If for whatever reason we do not sell your house, you do not owe us anything. And this will just be wrapped up in the closing costs, which usually the buyers are going to pay anyway. So we'll see that when that comes, but just know that is an extra fee that's associated with this. Any questions? Great. Signatures here. Fantastic. Also need to let you know there are some affiliated businesses that Keller Williams partners with, and you are not obligated to use any of them. As a matter of fact, we likely will not be. But you need a signature there too, just to acknowledge that. All right. Any questions about the two disclosures we just signed? Fantastic. Now I'm going to be presenting you the listing agreement. The first two were disclosures. This is an agreement. So by signing this, you'll be saying that I'm allowed to represent you and you'll get all the fiduciary duties I've explained in the previous disclosure. All right, let's dive right in. So now we're going to jump into that listing contract, exclusive right to sell. Okay, so again, we will be agreeing to work together if you sign this contract. It's going to be great. So here you're going to fill this out with the property details. Again, this is just me, you, the agent. We're not doing scripting right now. Put in the date. If you have the legal description, we'll put it in now. If not, you can always fill that in later. And then the seller's names. All right, and I'm going to jump back in. Awesome. So this is all pre-filled out, by the way. I filled this out before. I'm not doing it in front of them. It's already done. I just pull it out, go down. Awesome. This contract is between you, sellers, and Keller Williams Integrity Realty. It would be effective today's date, and we're going to move it through just 1 year from now. I promise you it will not take that long to sell your home. I just don't like doing math, and it's a lot easier to go from 23 to 24. But just know it will not take us that long. Just got to put something in there. Okay. Then we're going to get to price. So I always leave, and again, cut, this is me and you. I always leave price blank for now because I don't know if, right, we're getting this paperwork signed. They might not want to list for 6 months. I'm not going to price out a house 6 months in the future. I have no idea what that's going to look like. So I explain that to them. And then I let them know I leave it blank. So it sounds like this. Awesome. As for the price of the home, like I mentioned before, we don't know what the market is going to be for when we're selling this home. I mean, the market 30 days from now can be totally different from where we're sitting right now. So we're going to revisit the price conversation, right, as a part of our pre-marketing before we list. Right now, I'm going to leave this blank. And then when we do set our price, we're just going to add that in and get some initials on the page here. But I can assure you that we're going to be listing in that area that we talked about, like that $850 price range. Confident we can get you in that ballpark. Okay. So by signing this agreement, you are giving us the right to list and sell your property. I can do all the marketing that I need to. We're going to put a lockbox on your property. We're not just going to be giving that information out willy-nilly. Of course, anyone coming through is going to be accompanied by a real estate agent. We're also going to be displaying your home online. Here's some information about just some terms, what an IDX means, a virtual office website means. You can read through that at your leisure. Moving down here, option 1, I'm going to strongly suggest that you allow us to display your site on the internet. That is where 100% of people find homes nowadays. I mean, I can't say 100. Let's say 99.9% of people find homes, and you're going to be really wanting to do that. So I have this box checked yes. We can put the listing we can put your listing address, your house number on the internet as well, which again will be very helpful in selling the home if people can know where it is. And then automated valuation of property. Some sites are going to have an auto valuation. You can choose yes or no on this. Great. Comments, reviewing property. Usually I leave this one no. I don't like people commenting publicly on the properties that we have. Usually people only comment bad things. There's a lot of weird internet people out there. So I usually will disable comments, public comments on the property. Great. And this property is not currently listed for lease. And we're going to say you may not list the property for lease during the terms of this contract. Okay. So by signing this, you are Getting our broker obligation, which in short is those fiduciary duties I explained to you before, right? I'm going to sell your house for a price you think is fair and a timeline you think is reasonable. And at the same time, you're agreeing to the seller's obligations. If we agree on a price you want to sell this for, and if I find you a buyer to sell this home to, we have to sell it to them. Not only would we be, just operating from bad faith, but that's also just, I mean, what are we doing? We're not ready to sell the house, right? So the best thing I love about this contract is, we're entering a relationship together, right? And just like any good relationship, if it's not working out, we can break up. So if you feel like I'm not holding up my end of the deal of the broker's obligation and I'm not operating in good faith and getting your home sold, first, please let me know so I can make some adjustments. But if you really feel like I'm not holding up my end of the bargain, you can cancel this agreement with written notice at any time. And likewise, if I feel like you're not selling your house with earnest or honest intention, or if I feel like you're putting me in a situation that is not, not working for me as a business person, I can also cancel this contract. Now, it does say in here it's under mutually written agreement, but I promise you I will never hold anyone to a contract they don't want to be in. I'm far too busy and life is far too short to spend time with people who don't want to spend time with you. Okay. You are not allowed to record people on the property without their notice or consent. That's important. That happens a lot, even by accident, right? If there's like a doorbell, right, that's recording, we want to make sure that's turned off, or at least we have a sign letting them know that they're being recorded. Okay, let's talk about money. So there is no retainer and there is no minimum for my services. However, I do charge 6% of the sales price of this home. Now, I want to take a moment to explain to you how that money works, right? So you are paying me 6% to list the property. That is going to go to pay for our marketing, our photography, our signage, everything that we are doing to get this home ready for market. That is not coming out of your pocket. That is being paid out of this 6%. Now, also, I need to compensate the buyer's agent on this. So when I list it, on the MLS, I have to have a pre-negotiated buyer comp. So I pay my buyer's agents who going to bring the other person to this deal 2.7% of the purchase price. So out of the 6% you're paying, we pay in the amount, whatever we have to pay in for the marketing, the photos, which is usually going to be about $1,000, paying our buyer's agent, which is going to be about 2.7%, and then there'll be right around 2.7% left for me. So I can get compensated and pay my bills. So that's how the money works. Any questions on that? Awesome. Now, there are a couple scenarios where you would be stuck paying this money. Well, the three options where you're paying this money is one, when we close on the sale, right? You don't owe me anything if we don't close on this house. However, like I said before, those seller obligations, if we set a price and we set terms and we find a buyer to meet them, and if you still refuse to sell the property for whatever reason or another, there is a scenario where you would still owe me that 6%. Now, if it is in good faith and truly you change your mind, obviously I'm not going to chase you down for that money because I didn't sell the house. But there it is. So that's item 1 and 2. So if you refuse to close on the sale after we get under contract, or if you refuse to sell on a price of the terms we listed above, that compensation still could be owed. Additionally, if we do decide to cancel this contract and you sell your house to a buyer I find you within 180 days, I would still be owed that commission. However, this clause is nullified in the event that you sign a listing agreement with a different agent. This is essentially put in here to keep buyers from firing their agents to save on commission, right? We do all the work, you fire us right before closing, and then you save the money. Don't do that. My feelings would be very badly damaged. Okay. And then again, this is that compensation disclosure. So that just says that I will be compensating the buyer's broker 2.7% of the sales price. All right. Do you know any good title people? No? Awesome. I'm going to go ahead and just arrange the closing for us. I've got a great title person. They're going to handle all this boring stuff that I don't need to bore you with. But, organizing the closing, getting both parties together, all the stuff with the county, transfer title. It's incredibly mind-numbing, which is why I have a great person to do it for us. Okay, additional costs. This is knowledge of closing costs. Typically, the closing costs are the buyer's responsibility. They may attempt to negotiate that we pay some of that for them. This is merely an acknowledgement that outside of the commission you're paying the agent, there is other money that is moving around. This goes to pay pretty much anyone who works to get this deal closed besides the agent. So there's a small amount that we will pay to title. The large amount is about going to be up to words of $10,000, is all affiliated with the buyer's loan origination. So typically we're not paying that, but there's going to be some extra cash floating around, and before closing, you're going to have an exact number we have to pay, or we'll be getting paid. It comes out of your proceeds. So you don't really pay anything out of pocket. You're not a foreign investor, so we're going to go ahead and skip this. Doop. Now, I mentioned we'd be coming back to dual agency. Here it is. So again, if we are working under a dual agency agreement, that is a scenario when the buyer is represented by either myself or another agent from the office. In that case, neither party is able to negotiate in bad faith towards each other, and we truly find a win-win to get everyone what they want. If you do not feel comfortable with that relationship and you do not want any agents from my office or my off-market network to see or view the property, you can check down here. However, if you would like to make this property available to be purchased by any interested buyer in the Twin Cities area and beyond, you can check this top box. Perfect. And I'll need a signature here. Great. All right, other potential sellers. So this just simply says that although I'm your only agent, I am able to list other properties. I have more than one client, and I may be listing multiple homes in the same area at the same time. And just know that while we are under contract, I'm going to do everything I can for you to get your house sold the price that you want. Nothing is going to change that. Previous agency relationship, this just simply states that if the buyer of the property was once represented by me, but no longer is, I'm not allowed to disclose to you any information about them that may affect the sale of this property. Once this contract is completed, it is dissolved. I no longer owe you those fiduciary duties, but that is not to mean that I'm not still your agent. I want to be very clear about that. Just because we're not under contract together does not mean I will not be your real estate resource for everything. I am your local expert. I am your person, and I'm always going to be in your corner, regardless if we're under contract or not. Okay. Indemnification, we're going to rely on the accuracy of this information that you provide us. We will not be held responsible if any false claims are made on the disclosures or otherwise. There are fair housing rules. We are not able to refuse to sell or discriminate on the terms to anyone based on their race, color, creed, religion, national origin, sex, marital status, public assistance, handicap, sexual orientation, familial status. You understand that? Great. Again, additional notices and terms. There may be, some additional terms into selling, right? If you're an association, stuff like that. We just have permission to get all of the mortgage information that you have, or all of any rules or guidelines that may affect the sale. Okay. Entire agreement. We can amend this with amendments and addendums unless it's written and signed on. It is not binding. Everything on here will be binding. We can do electronic signatures, and I can communicate with you. Yay. Simply sign here. All right. That is more or less the presentation of how we're going to bring that paperwork out, how we're going to present it. Now, unlike the buyer paperwork, there's some other stuff here too. So we're going to go through this as well. Okay, so we have the certification to withhold the property listing. So just me to the agents, we're going to fill in the contract date. We're going to fill in the expiration date. And what this does, so it says if you do have that listing agreement signed, you need to have that uploaded in the MLS within 2 business days of the contract effective date. This withhold removes that rule. So this is the seller basically saying, you don't have to list this right away. We can list it when we're ready. Okay, so I would present it this way. I would say, awesome. So as you see here, technically, by signing that previous document, I need to get this live on the MLS within 2 days, seeing as we discussed your timeline, and that's not the plan. This withhold lets me list it whenever we need to and helps me not get fined. So I'll need a signature here. Great. And then again, I really just kind of breeze through this stuff. If someone wants to read every line, they certainly can, but I'm not going to read it for them. Okay. We don't need the listing change form at this moment. The showing time input form, I like to get signatures on this, not at this moment. Typically, I will come back. We'll do a staging consult, a photo consult. At that time, I'll get all that signed. So the only thing left here, I get coming soon authorization signed. So that one we have here. Now we have coming soon. So in this one, I simply explain that as part of our marketing strategy, we are coming soon. So again, we have this listed with me, put in our contract dates, the county, the property address number, property type, and then we just say, when will it be available? So whatever we want there. Okay, and you can't have it coming soon for more than 90 days. Easy peasy. All right, and then the last thing, seller's disclosure. I do not give these electronically signed. I will print them out and I will give them to the sellers. But again, that doesn't happen until the walkthrough. Okay, I think that's it. Oh, one more. The input form. Oh, nope, that happens at walkthrough too. That's it.